What game you playing?
Dragon Age Origins.
Well, I'm fucking off for a few days. Bye. Oh, I see you still playing Dragon Age Origins. Where are you up to?
The character customization.
You spent 2 days in character customization.
Don't fucking disturb me! Alright, where was I? Alright.
Greetings.
I could not pull myself away from this game once when I got back into it. I found it still addictive after all this time. I easily got immersed into this world with all the hard decisions that you make on your journey. Dragon Age Origins is a role-playing game made by BioWare back in the day when they couldn't do nothing wrong with all the titles that they were putting out at the time. For the story, it is one of the best that I came across for a long time. A group of mages try and enter the city of the gods and they get cast out, creating the first of the Darkspawn and creating the Blight at the same time. It's up to you, a new recruit of the Grey Wardens, to defend Ferelden from the fourth Blight from consuming the world. So it's up to you and your companions to raise an army that you lost at Ostergard to fight the Darkspawn Horde and kill the Archdemon, what's sort of like an old god what has been tainted. Straightforward and brilliant. I was gobsmacked by how much you can do in this game. You can easily get overwhelmed with it at first, but quickly adapt to it at the same time. It's kind of a weird mixture. At the beginning of the game you start creating a customised character, and the character customisation is satisfying for the time that this game came out, although it hasn't aged well compared to modern games. You can create an avatar that you intend to and spend a good half hour to an hour in the character customisation menu. You get to pick 3 races to play as: human, elf, dwarf. Each one has their own origin story to them. There are 6 altogether. Each origin story is unique to your character. I had to try each origin story out to see how different they were and how the world acted differently towards you, depending on what origin story. Also, you get to pick 3 classes that you can play as: warrior, rogue or mage. But you can't play as a dwarf mage because of Dragon Age lore. For me, I played as an elf mage so I can use magic, and there's a ton of spells what I could use at my disposal. It did take me a bit of time to learn about the perks. I got to say that the walking bomb kicks ass. This is one of my favourite powers and I couldn't stop using it. Dragon Age can be a technical game on the PC version compared to the console version, where you can zoom in and out and give commands at any time. It took me a while to find the way that I like to play it, because I was trying to play it like an action RPG and then quickly realised it was a pause play and command tactical play. Once when I found that out, I couldn't pull myself away from it, and I found out that you can't always rely on the programmable tactics for you and your companions. You can have up to 4 squad mates with you at a time. The ones that I mainly used was Alistair and Shell. They were like the tanks of the group, and Leliana I kept round to pick locks and disarm traps, or I might swap Alistair for the dog at times. You're going to end up using your favourite character that you take on missions with you and forget about the others. I had no problems with the dialogue interface apart from its font size. It's a bit too small for my liking. I had to download a mod to make it larger, or I could just change the resolution. I prefer the dialogue options like this because you know what you're actually going to say. The dialogue options are decent. It always had something similar to what I wanted to go with, although I felt that this was superior to the later installments to the franchise. Your decisions take a big role of this game. There are so many of them, and your companions will act differently towards you from time to time by your decisions. You can end up in a fight depending on the decisions that you make. Being a hero, helping everyone you come across, or you can be a badass, or both. It's all about what you would do, just not all companions are going to agree with you. There's a character like and dislike meter. If it gets too low, some of them may leave your party, but I wouldn't really worry about that because there's these gifts what you can give them what pluses up on their like meter, and it's kind of a cheating way. If you don't want to talk to them, I would recommend giving them gifts, or if you've done something what they disliked, and just chuck them a gift.
It might be recoverable, but I had yet to speak of it to you. How fortunate.
And you always have 100% approval. The party camp is like your hub area where you take a break from the main game, where you talk to your companions and get to know them. Some of them have interesting and amusing conversations.
A full dog placed in my pack. A putrid, half-eaten hare is not something a woman wants to find in her unmentionables.
and as you travel around Ferelden's map you can collide with enemies at any time. Dragon Age Origins level is designed more like these hub worlds like your camp, with their own element to them, like the Dalish camp is all foresty and the dwarves with their stone city.
It is the assembly who makes a king, and a king who nominates his successor.
What else is there to discuss? Oh, the inventory system is easy to navigate. Once when you get used to it, you've got weapons and armour slots. It's pretty much straightforward. And this is where you level up by signing tributes and perk points. For those of you who are used to old RPG systems, this won't take much time to learn. You get tier 1 armours what go up as you level up to tier 3, then 4s and so on. Just make sure to check your inventory regularly. Some of the armours do repeat themselves throughout the different tiers. If you like loot, there's a ton of it. I filled up the inventory a few times and sold off a lot of stuff. After about halfway through the game, you might break the money system if you've been collecting everything that you come across throughout Ferelden. This was actually quite hard to pick my favourite part of the game. I think that the part of the game I liked the most was the riddles, with the ghost and the answering the questions. Although they were a bit too easy to solve, I think that was the idea of it for me to get to know the world. I thought that was a nice touch. It was not simply just go here, kill this thing and move on. The characters knew how to keep things interesting, and I can't forget about the dragon fights. There's a large number of characters that make this world feel alive, although my favourite one's got to be Shell with the sarcastic comments and the pigeon thing. And I can't forget about the chemistry between Alistair and Morrigan.
Well, aside from the fact that she's a complete and utter bitch, no, I don't like her at all.
There was this one part where Alistair had me in hysterics on how and what he said. Spoiler alert!
Ha ha! Alright, that's pretty funny. Nice way to cut the tension. So, what's really up? Cute. This is payback, right, for all the jokes? But you're not joking. You're actually serious? Wow. Be killed by the Archdemon or sleep with Morrigan. How does someone make that kind of choice? You're not actually asking me this, are you? What kind of ritual is this, anyway? What? I must be hearing things, but are you telling me to impregnate Morrigan is some kind of magical sex rite? This child, why would Morrigan want such a thing? Does she want an heir to the throne? Oh, well, that's so much better, don't you think? Here I was, worried about creating another bastard heir, and I didn't even consider that it might also be some dragon god, whatever. Look.
I've got to give the actors props on that. Then we get to the Kamari, who's basically a military type, straightforward. Then we got the dog, who has some funny scenes. Then there's Leliana, who's like a religious spy. And the gothic Morrigan. And a wise elder called Wade, who gives you wisdom. And then we got Ogren, who's the drunk, who never seems to be holding a bottle or a cup or anything. Then we got Saffron, who's the assassin. Each of them have their own side quests where you unlock a new skill for your party. As long as that you're the right class, you can learn them, or your companions can. Oh yeah, the romance system is back as well. You can go after Saffron or the lovely Leliana. And then we got the handsome, sarcastic Alistair. Brings me to the last one. Then we got the gothic Morrigan. She is into superstitions, black cats and voodoo dolls. I feel a premonition, that girl's gonna make me fall. She's into new sensations, new kicks in the candlelight. She's got a new addiction for every day and night. She make you take your clothes off and go dancing in the rain. She make you live a crazy life, but she take away your pain like a bullet to your brain. Come on! Upside, inside out, she's living a viva loca. She push and pull you down, living a viva loca.
All that time writing the script out, playing the game, and he ruins it within 2 seconds. Oh well. Let's keep this train wreck going.
Some of the things that I came across in the game, I was surprised with some of the characters that appeared, like a talking werewolf to a rhyming tree, and I adored these characters. They had a great deal of personality. Plus, a talking demon cat.
I would not suggest leaving in such hostile company anyhow, Amalia. Look how they act.
The graphics is alright for the time that this game came out, but they haven't aged well, mainly on the NPCs and the characters that you meet throughout Ferelden. They seem a bit stiff at times, however you do get used to it. For the most part, the voice acting is high quality, especially for the companions. However, with some minor characters that stick out from time to time to the rest of the voice acting, it's nothing what takes it away from the game. It's more likely you're completely immersed in it, and then you find a terrible NPC with awful voice acting, and it does make you laugh. And some of the lip syncs can be off too.
Who is that? Grey Wardens?
Well, he's not half as dead as he looks, is he?
My scouting band was attacked by Darkspawn. They came out of the ground.
Who's that? Grey Wardens?
Well, he's not half as dead as he looks. I have bandages in my pack.
Simply, a couple of bandages going to make me get up and go back to camp. You're alright, you can hear me. No, don't work like that. Oh well, I just might as well pose with the camera. Wow, that's really bad editing. Well, moving on.
Some of the cutscenes are brilliant, like the one at Ostergard. My face was right on top of the screen on how clever and exciting it was. It summed up the stakes perfectly of what the game was going to be about and how intense the war was. I think that's one of the things what drew me in more than the rest of the game.
Okay, moving on.
For the soundtrack, it's okay, however I didn't remember any of it apart from the main theme. It's brilliant, and it gets you in the mood with the game.
What the fuck, were you asleep the entire time? What about Leliana song? And the Darkspawn theme song. Dun, 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 soundtrack is epic!
For how long the game is, I clocked on around about 40 hours. I can see it done in a lot less time if you miss out most of the side missions and just go through on the main missions. You're probably looking at 22 hours or so, but if you're doing everything, it's 80 to 90 hours, maybe more, so we're talking great value here. So in the end, I'm proudly to give Dragon Age Origins a 9 out of 10, and I definitely recommend it. The game was a pleasure to play through again, and I forgot how excellent it was. Now, it's on to the DLC. Dragon Age Awakening is the expansion DLC. It carries on where you left off from Origins. For the story, it takes part in when the Darkspawn haven't gone back underground after the Blight. Something's keeping them on the surface, which is new behaviour of the Darkspawn. You are now the Warden Commander with Arhaus lands and towns when the Darkspawn attacks your castle and you meet one of them what's hawks and also well dressed.
No, Darkspawn! What trickery is he planning? You will die!
I mean, clever compared to the usual Darkspawn. That's the best way that I can say about it without ruining the story and spoiling it, so I'm going to stop there. You can upload your character from Origins or play as a new character, except the new Warden is a blank slate, so I imported mine, at least that way I knew my one's passed. The gameplay is the same as Origins with new spells and attacks added to it. It seems though that you level up very quickly on this. At the end of it I just threw any old power in any order and didn't really care about it. I just kept on using the same old powers that I did in Origins. I like the new enemies that I've encountered, it keeps things fresh in a fight. However, there is difficulty spikes on certain parts, and I like the fact that you actually get to play judge for your lands and fix petty squabbles between houses.
I present the Warden Commander of Ferelden and Isle of Amaranthine.
Commander.
Ban Esmeralda of Amaranthine. As is old custom, you have the honor of beginning.
I promise that I, Ban Esmeralda, will be faithful to the Arl in matters of life, limb, and earthly honor. Never will I bear arms against her or her heirs. So I say, in the sight of the Maker.
I promise that I, Lord Edelbreck...
And so, the ceremony is complete.
Long live the Warden Commander!
I thought that this was a good addition to Awakening, and fixing up your castle and the choices that you make are a lot more higher stake this time round, as BioWare tend to up the ante on this one. The level design is similar to Origins in these hub worlds, and you can still encounter battles as you travel. 4 characters, Oghren returns as one of your companions, and this time round they gave him a cup to drink from.
From this moment forth, Oghren, you are a Grey Warden.
What's this, the sampler size? Are you trying to say something about my height? Huh?
This is the goblet we've always used.
Really?
As for the new characters, they're interesting and got personality, and it's worth the time to get to know them as you're recruiting them to the Wardens. The voice acting is still brilliant for your companions, although I still encounter a couple of bad NPCs from time to time. I clocked on around about 10 hours, I can see it done in a lot less time, but if you're doing everything and the chantry board you might get about 15 hours out of it. I feel that this DLC is worth a playthrough, however I don't see myself playing it multiple times as I did with Origins. Now that brings me on to the Golems of Amgarrak DLC. If you like puzzles and the deep roads, this might be the DLC for you. For the story, you're in search for this dwarf's brother when he writes to you, and it quickly becomes something different. The voice acting is still brilliant, the characters are okay, but you're gonna forget about them after when you've done this DLC. As for the puzzles, they are simple and won't take much time to figure out. It's pretty much match the colour to the door so you can go through it. For me, this DLC is a bit boring, apart from the end boss fight, although they do leave this DLC on a cliffhanger, which makes me think, is there meant to be a part 2? For the length of this DLC, I clocked on around about an hour. Maybe you could get 2 hours out of it, but this DLC is short, but worth playing for that boss fight. This DLC is probably my favourite one, the Darkspawn Chronicles. This DLC is like someone made it for me. I got to play as the bad guy and probably enjoyed it way too much. You know you don't actually get to play as the Archdemon.
I've just got to play as a yoga.
As for the main character, you're playing as a general and you get to recruit other Darkspawn to help you get through the city. It takes your warden and saying that this would happen if your warden didn't exist. There is a nice touch that they put on this DLC so it don't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. So you can play as any enemy by recruiting them, and if they get on your nerves, well, you can do this. This DLC, it takes place in the city of Denram, on the last battlefield of the game. As for how long this DLC is, you're not talking more than an hour, it's just the icing on the cake. Witch Hunt DLC is when you track down Morrigan sometime after the Blight, and your dog gets to join you on this one. Yeah, he was always my favourite. Too bad that you didn't get to use him on the other DLC. You get introduced to 2 new characters. Unfortunately, they are forgettable after when you've done this. This DLC borrows some levels out of Origins and Awakening, and they tend to recycle them, and it becomes very tiring to see the same old sights over again. Again, you can finish this DLC in about an hour. This DLC feels like it's finishing off the Warden's story. It doesn't offer anything new in gameplay or levels, but if you're a Dragon Age fan, then you're probably going to enjoy this one. Now we get on a change of rhythm with Leliana's song. This is an unusual one. It takes part in the past. Before Leliana meets the Warden, it involves around Marjolaine and the betrayal, what happens. I thought that the cut scenes with the characters' names and intro was a good idea. They tried something new and it caught my eye instantly. As for Leliana, she seems the same as you meet her in Origins. I couldn't tell the difference in attitude, which I thought was a bit of a disappointment. I thought her personality should have been a bit more open in this DLC. The major of this DLC takes part in the city of Denram. I like the Thief game that you get to play around town setting up things, and for these characters it's just playing for amusement. As for characters, they're okay. That's really it. For me, I clocked on around about an hour long.
Anyone else here starting to sense a pattern?
There are fun parts to have in this DLC, and I'll definitely recommend this game, especially on Steam now where you get all the DLC included. So have you played Dragon Age Origins and its DLC? What did you think of them? Leave it in the comments below. Until next time, I'm off.
What? I didn't even get to do my ghostly effect. Until next time, I'm fucking off.
Finery. This.
And you can still romance characters in this game. Saffron, to Leliana, to Morrigan, to Alistair. And, well, pity that shell couldn't be romance. She's into superstitions, black cats and blue dolls. I feel a premonition, that girl's gonna make me fall.